recently did your 200.
I did. Yeah. Did I tell you about it? How did you know?
No, I was looking up when the last time I was on this podcast was.
Got it. When was the last time you were on?
I don't remember I think actually I got bored of scrolling through, so I may never have found out. But I saw that you were on 199 a little while back.
Okay. That tracks. Well, one thing, you can tell that you're rusty. You got to be a little bit closer to it. So let's do that. See? And you're like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but does he? There you go. Yeah, we'll play
my
around with it.
entire ass. You can eat my entire ass.
Through the microphone.
Yes, you can eat my entire ass through the microphone. Whatever it is that you want.
He says this as the man that has only had coffee in his time eating in the building, which I can only imagine what that does to your digestive system throughout the day.
I'm not saying that eating my entire ass is going to be pleasant.
Yeah, I was thinking about this too. So
you were thinking about eating my entire ass.
Yes, that's 100%.
Okay.
No, like the whole. So like we've just been like shooting the shit, for however long. And one of the reasons I haven't had people on the podcast as much lately is because I hate the whole. Like I've gone to people's places to do their podcast in the past, and I'll just start conversing like humans do.
I don't know how that works.
True, you don't.
No.
And so I'll be like talking and they'll be like, oh, no, save it. Well, let's do it fresh. And like, do you want me to be a silent, like quiet fucker like the whole time? It's the most awkward thing. But I had confidence that you and I we could spew some shit together for this one.
It may not be good shit.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about eating my entire ass and drinking nothing but coffee all day. So spewing shit is what I do.
What a way to open.
Uh-huh.
If you guys couldn't tell, this is science Adam, because we now have social studies Adam.
Mm-hmm. Clearly biology Adam in this particular instance.
There you go. Bio Adam. And yeah, you haven't been on since...
We did a remote one, didn't we?
We did. You're right. We did do a remote one when COVID first broke out. Couldn't tell you what we talked about. Probably just the frustration of it all.
Yeah, I don't know. That was 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So...
And now at this point, tomorrow is the last day for teaching. I mean, granted, you're doing stuff in the summer, and I'm coaching during the summer, but the last day, we finally made it to the end at this point.
Yep.
Like a fever dream.
Yep. And we did such a good job enriching young minds and, preparing people for the future. I think somehow 110% of our students are college ready now. Even the ones that dropped out halfway through, even the ones who transferred to other schools, those kids are college ready. And that is because of all of those half-empty Google Meets that I hosted and all of the illegal streaming of Amazon Prime content that I did over Google Meets over the last, again, 2,000 years. Man, this has been, time is just a social construct at this point. I am so beyond time.
I almost made the comment to my kids in the last few days, like, if you have a Netflix subscription, you don't need to be here. Let's just be real. You don't. What am I going to give you aside from a slightly lagged version of Madagascar 2?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Why did they come at that point? Like, especially the kids that they didn't do anything and they failed the semester for all their classes, but they were there every single day, Monday, Tuesday.
I think it's because a lot of them were banking on getting credit for being there. And
after grades?
No, I think just the participation point part of it. And there were certain teachers in our building who were giving points out for showing up.
For the last 2 days. Interesting.
Oh, you're just talking about... I thought we were talking about, like, the whole damn...
Oh, yeah, we could do that too. Well, I mean, I didn't do my stuff until... So I had to do the stupid Constitution test because they make them do it a million times. And the secret that I've been telling everybody was I was doing review games, but on like the fourth go around of a slightly different review game, if they got a C or higher, I was going to put that in as I was going to be like, surprise, you passed. But only one kid got a passing grade on it. So I kept putting it off and off and off until they could finally understand the stuff. So it took up until Friday to finally do it. And then sure enough, I had some kids that had to take it like 4 or 5 times that day. And then they maybe passed it with like a 59%. And I was like, close enough.
Yeah, this is your fault, Ryan, for not doing phone calls. You've been faking your phone logs.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Oh, let's get into that. So the phone call logs. Well, first off, let me hear your theory that I agree with. Your theory for people that don't know on the remote outreach logs and why they don't actually care if they're reaching kids and it's more about teacher compliance. What's your observation on that?
So, and actually, if you take a look at how Aspen is supposed to work and how we were supposed to have our stuff set up at the beginning of the year, the way that logs are supposed to work is that every student has their own page of logs.
Which we did last year. We did do it that way last year.
We did indeed. And I thought that our engagement last year was actually, at least our parent contact last year was a bit better than it was this year.
Smaller sample size, but yeah. That's fair.
Yeah. For our logs, what they've done is they've given every teacher a page, and that minimizes the ability of teachers to be able to take a look at whether or not a particular student that they may be having a problem with has been contacted or their parents have been contacted. They can't do that just by looking at a teacher's page. They could do it by like searching through the Google document, but that's a whole thing and we don't have time.
Right.
What it does maximize is the ease of checking whether or not any particular teacher has done their call logs for the week. And that is the only reason why we run it that way. That is the only reason that the log exists that way. For our overseers to make sure that we are making our prerequisite 3 or so phone calls to disconnected numbers and getting hung up on or berated at, right. Or, or this message box is full, what have you.
Or anti-mask rhetoric from certain parents.
Oh, yes.
Stop calling after that. What was the number, by the way? Was it 3 per week? I just kind of did whatever I was able to do, but...
Actually, and this is on you, because I'm blaming you for this. When I first got to bleep school name,
mm-hmm.
You told me that you did 3.
Oh, so you just took my innocuous number and were like, that's what I'm going to do.
It's what I'm going to do. And I never got in trouble for it, so that's what I did.
Nice.
And I haven't gotten in trouble for it now.
Sorry, man.
You should have said 2. Could have saved me fucking 1/3
5 minutes.
Of my... Yeah.
But no, that's 5 minutes for the entire year, because most of the time you just listen to it ring and it goes to voicemail.
I'll send you a bill.
There you go. There you go. What was the best non-response you got? Mine was a security company voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
It was ADT. That's the number that was given for a certain student.
I don't have a best non-response. Well, I don't have a best non-response, but I do have a good bad response, if that makes sense.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We had one parent just absolutely dead set that her kid was coming to the Google Meets.
Oh, sure.
It's like, I sit there, she says. Sure. I sit there and I make sure that all of my kids log into their Google Meets. That's what I do. And it's not even like a question of accountability. It's almost like a question of personal pride. She is so into this narrative that she is sitting down, making all of her kids log into her Google Meet or log into their Google Meets at the right time. What she doesn't fucking know is that we get a log every single day after the Google Meet ends that tells us what students were in that Google Meet.
Right.
So either there is some sort of head game being played between the kid and the mom, where the kid is like, oh, this is how I log in, this is what I do, blah, 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 blah. Or I don't know what. Was I emailing with a crazy lady? I may have been emailing with a crazy lady.
She should work at our school, by the way. She sounds a lot like our staff members.
Who knows?
That's fun.
Yeah, that's the best one I got, though. I have so little parent contact, so few people actually pick up the phone, that I don't have a large swath of stories to choose from.
Well, the other problem, too, is, and same thing with parents, is they'll say, like, well, they're logging into class, they have 100% attendance, but that's where it ends. And it's like, why didn't we track engagement in any way, shape, or form?
It's harder.
That would but that would have been so much more beneficial to actually, like, maybe have someone somewhere that, I don't know, that was their job title. I don't know. Maybe look at how many missing assignments there were?
No,
or 50%?
no, dude, you asked the wrong question. That's your problem. You're answering a different question than you asked. You asked, why don't we track that? Why don't we track engagement? The answer is because it's harder. You're answering the question, why should we track engagement?
There you go.
And there's a lot of things that we should be doing that we aren't doing. And yeah, there's the one reason for that, because people don't want to do fucking work.
You sound like Charles used to say that too. I would say something and be like, well, you're thinking too logically for CPS, and it's 100% right. But
yeah.
Well, shit.
Welcome, by the way, to Classroom Bitch Fest. That's what this is.
There was we did segment to segment. So we had a comment hero of the week. So people that are being assholes in the comment section related to education. We had weird student questions. That's a good one because people would write in on that one all the time. Teacher frustrations. We got a lot of people that wrote in on that one. Like I would have to say, I'll be like, hey, I'm going to do like 6 this week and we'll save the other 20 for later weeks. And what was the other one we did? We used to do oh shit moments, but we, just some fun segments, and you'd be surprised how many people would reach out. It's great. It really is. But we're going loosey-goosey.
But you're not doing that anymore. So basically you're taking the same strategy with this podcast as you have with your instruction.
Yeah.
You start out really well intended, and then at the end of it, with me sitting here, you're all like, fuck it, let's do it live.
And then just like my students, they did the same Bill O'Reilly approach, and they also approved, just like my listeners. It was like 75% of the listeners were like, we prefer it loosey-goose. Sure enough, so do the students.
Hey, and just like all of our Google Meets, we don't even have our camera on for this podcast.
There you go. I figured you were not down for a video podcast. I also just don't.
My sex appeal is too distracting.
Yeah, there you go. For context, what's that hat you're wearing? What are those called?
It's a fez.
A fez.
You don't know a fez?
No, because how often would I see that aside from the movie Aladdin?
What's your problem, dude? What's your problem? The fez is the king of hats.
A staple. You do pull it off.
It is the hat that I wear that indicates that I am no longer working.
Do you wear that all summer?
No, I'm working during the summer. No, after I was done. So, hey, look, actual content. After you get done working remotely, it can sometimes be very, very difficult to separate your work from your home.
Yeah.
And even the dumbest, stupid shit, like just moving from one place to another, like allowing yourself to listen to a particular kind of music or engage in a particular kind of activity, even so ridiculous and pointless as ordering a fez from the UK and wearing it around the house after your work is done, can actually be so spiritually relieving. You have no idea. This fez is my party hat. It's the hat that says that it's party time, and guess what?
It is.
It is.
You seem very liberated. I'll give you that.
Yes. Yes.
What was your main go-to? So, like, I know your wife. She would like walk around because she works at home, even non-COVID times too. So she walks around. What's your go-to?
My go-to?
Yeah. Like, what do you do to like kind of get away, refresh, or just
Well, I have a specific area of the house that I work out of. So when I'm done working, I don't stay there. I go someplace else.
Sure.
I mean, the fez is pretty important.
Very.
And there's the crack cocaine.
Yeah. There's it's medicinal. It's medicinal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how often were you on
crack cocaine?
Crack cocaine.
Now.
Yeah.
Just all the time. That's why you don't sign up for the HMO. You sign up for the PPO because the PPO covers it.
Right. You don't have to worry about being in network or not. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did you use? Because I would every so often when you would join a meeting, your doc cam was on instead, and like I felt like I was a stage performer all year, just using the webcam. How often did you actually go on the webcam where they could actually see your face and stuff like that?
Once.
Are you really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I know you said one time it's about bandwidth and trying to help them out with like the Wi-Fi they may have.
Yeah,
but
so that's a big thing. A lot of our students' internet connections are not stable, and broadcasting video and expecting them to stream video at the same time as streaming the audio and working through stuff, blah, 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 is a big pain in the ass. usually if I have a camera on, it's because I have something that I want to work out mathematics-wise.
Sure.
Other than that, is anything really served by seeing my scraggly ass face on camera? Especially when most of our students are logging in and falling back asleep or
Right.
playing Among Us anyway.
How much is our presence actually going to matter in this?
It actually doesn't.
Yeah.
The expectation that teachers be on camera, if we were held to that, I would have done it, I guess.
Were we? I thought we were, but I didn't know.
The expectation is that teachers be on camera, but not
Sure.
teacher nor student can be required to be on camera.
Damn, I wish I had known that, because all year I was like, oh, I gotta, turn it on, and
Some admin have been more stringent about it than others.
sure, throughout the district, you mean?
Yeah, throughout the district. But
Not at our school.
not at our school. No, sir.
Shit. Damn.
Yeah, no.
What a missed opportunity.
There's no point. There's
Yeah.
really no point. Then again, if you want to start talking about things that have no point, then this is going to be a really long fucking podcast, because between the time that we last talked and the time that we're talking now, a lot of shit has happened that has no point.
It's very true. Holy shit, the whole year. Well, and honestly, too, when you think about everything that we went over, stripping down our content to like the bare minimum.
Oh, don't even get me started.
Exactly.
You
Well,
at the very least can, like, your procedure can remain more or less intact, but I'm a science teacher.
Yeah,
All of our
yeah,
shit
you for
is
sure
so...
you're severely impacted.
Yeah, it's so collaborative and it's so hands-on, and when... Like, I was such a tryhard at the beginning of
Yeah,
this,
same.
like, just trying to do actual lab experiments at home and videotape them.
Like watching ice melt.
Yeah, like watching ice melt. Yeah, you fucking smartass.
And now
Yeah,
that-
like
now
watching
that-
ice melt. You know what? I fucking melted that ice over a period of like 3 hours.
I bet you did. And then
I did.
In the spring, did you watch grass grow?
Yeah. Yeah, and in the summer I watched you eat my entire ass.
Yeah, that's the next one for the CPS, the reopening plan. Now that we're all back in the
That's
building.
the Skyline curriculum.
Yeah.
Semester 2. Eat
How do
my
I-
shit.
How do I get that in the episode title? That wouldn't work out. Side note, you mentioned, by the way, doing stuff on a webcam to show problems and things like that.
Mhm.
All year, I also had a document camera at home and at the school where I was like showing them like ways to break down a text and things like that. And literally 3 weeks ago, no, a little more now, like toward the end of the year,
Mhm.
one student goes, "Can you do this more often? I wish you had done this all year because it was very helpful." The thing that I had been doing
Mhm.
all year because I thought it was very helpful.
Well, they weren't paying attention to you because,
Why would they?
why would they?
But actually, this was a return to form this year. I don't know if I told you this, but we had Kenny and Kyra on for the student series.
Yeah, I saw. You guys spent a long time.
We did. It was, what, like 45
Longer than
minutes?
that. You guys were in there for a couple of periods.
I think each of them was about 40 to 45 minutes or so. We might have been talking after, but
I just remember because I had food for you,
oh, that's right.
and yeah, the wiener in a cup.
With the mustard and yeah. You were like, I have a weird delivery system for this food, but
Used my last plate.
well, hey, so all right, the last day. I know you were saying you're
Yeah.
gonna work on doing some your learning Russian stuff.
Yeah.
It feels like, even though, let me put it in context this way. On Tuesday, when the kids were walking out, all
Mhm.
three of them that showed up,
Yeah.
there was a staff member that said, "Have a good summer." And to me, the school year ended 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So what in God's name are we going to do tomorrow for our last day as teachers? We were self-directed today, which was nice because we were at home and the kids are done. Tomorrow, what would you do if we were planning tomorrow?
See, that's a little bit difficult because I feel like there's certain teachers where I would say, okay, you have a handle on your responsibilities. You know what it is that you're required to do.
Yeah.
Get your stuff done,
And go
and
home?
then we'll go home. Yes.
That sounds great.
There are other teachers who have no handle on their responsibilities and are actively damaging to the students that we have in the room. To them, I would say just go home and don't come back. But apparently we don't have the wherewithal, the backbone, or the I don't know what
Accountability toward
to,
people.
yeah, towards being fucking human to just say, you should be done. You should not be here anymore. And I don't know. I guess it's job security for us. We're not total dickweeds, so we're probably not going to get fired.
Hi, pups.
Oh, we just had a
look at
dog
her.
walk into the podcast.
Well, now the real guest is here.
Yes, hello, baby. Who's your good baby?
She's so chill.
She is the chillest dog. Look at her. Look at her walk. Oh,
Aw.
we call that the puppy couch.
Should we get her a microphone? You having a good day? Aw.
Look at her in her finery. I told you she was going to put on her finery for you.
She's got a little bow tie.
A little bow tie and her little flower.
What was the name of the band name we would have done?
Oh, man, I don't
shit.
fucking remember.
Damn it.
I should have been a total prick and said, no, wait, we'll do it live.
Yeah, here you go.
Uh,
Save it. I'm like, what? I had one time where it was like I was talking about the drive to get to their like house for their podcast. And they're like, no, save it. And I was like, that was it. That the story's over. Save it anyway. And they're like, so you had a great drive down here, right? What? That podcast is not on anymore. I don't even know what it was called.
Oh, I didn't see you come in. Hello.
Yeah.
Please have a seat.
They will do that though. They will. One time it was it was digital because this was someone in some other state or whatever, and I entered the whatever it was before like Zoom was big because it was before COVID and all that stuff, and I entered the thing and they just start right away like, all right, and we're joined by Ryan here from the classroom, but like, hi, are we going to talk at all? No, I saw some article where it was like teachers in some district are proposing that they get an end of year bonus. So if you make it to the end of the year, I don't know if it was because of COVID or if it was just in general they would do this, but I think for sure because of COVID. But you can imagine what some of the anti-teacher people were saying. You were actually a soundbite on my teacher hate video.
Was
where
I?
we were talking about why do people hate teachers. So
Oh, yeah, I remember that. You still haven't paid me.
yeah. There you go. Well, I'm waiting for this end of year bonus that teachers apparently can get in some districts. But you lost me there. What does that translate to?
Thanks, comrade.
Yeah, we're for sure now the commie teachers there. Yeah, no. So the year's finally over. I'm so sick of talking about it. So like, when we show up for the first day? I'm not trying to like undermine the SCL focus and all that. I get it. Everyone at home, we get it. But I have to end every statement with that. Like if I joke around or if I use hyperbole for the sake of the podcast, I have to end it with like, guys, I know.
Listen, we know your kids are special, but they're not that special.
Right. Exactly. Like, like everyone's the perfect teacher. Kind of like the person that when I was interviewing, they were saying like, I never get worn down and I never have a bad day. And my self-care is just my job because I love it so much. It's like, all right.
Did you interview my dog?
Yeah.
Because that's who that is.
Oh my God. I think I told you about that right after that. That was the last interview of the whole series.
You were a little flabbergasted about that one.
Yeah. Good word too. That was the only word I think I could use for that one because holy shit. But no, so fun fact actually is that the hire that we wound up going with that really dazzled myself and our principal, he was actually on the second episode of this podcast called Airdropped Porn because when he was a student teacher during an assembly, there was a student that airdropped some material to their classmates, all of them in the auditorium.
And that student was the student teacher, and the student teacher is now working with us.
And he is no longer employed. No, but so that's going to be cool. I think you're going to, I think you two will really bond. He's a big world history nut. So your recent love of Mother Russia will come into play. Which reminds me, by the way, we were talking about the Catherine Ryan and the Nikki Glazer. How did you get the Nikki Glazer signature, by the way? Like, where did that actually come from?
Yeah, that's eBay.
Certificate
of authenticity.
All of those?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. Like,
Except
well, you've met some of these guys, though. Some of these people.
So the ones that I've met are actually behind the bar.
Okay.
Those are pictures of me and
I said there's the one, too, where you're like, leaning over with your Clint Eastwood hair before it got super long.
Yeah. No, the only one on the wall there that we got ourselves is, and we didn't get it ourselves, we ordered it, and that was my Christmas present. But the Elvira picture is written to myself and my wife.
Okay. That's nice.
So,
That's nice, though.
Yeah. I ordered a special frame for that one. I like how all of the other frames are blocky, but the one in the middle has that gothy Etsy frame. So
It fits. All right, back to teaching. Did we learn anything this year?
Let's not go back to teaching.
Did anything happen this year? Did the kids get anything out of it? What happened after this year? We had kids graduate, but what at the end of it? What's the long-term effect of this bullshit year that I'm so glad is over?
Like, were I a student, what will I take into the world of tomorrow that will help me to succeed?
Is there anything at all?
Well, yeah, actually, if we're going to be, like, actually super serious about it and not, refilling my giant podcast mug for a third time.
I thought about asking Kenny and Kyra, but they're too, like, kind-hearted to be like, yeah, most of this year was a waste.
No, I'll agree with you 100%. Most of this year was a waste, but the ability to utilize technologies for one
True.
is a big one.
So you're thinking more of like the meta gains that we made, not so much the content, like how we were teaching.
Oftentimes at our school, that is the way that we just have to think about things because...
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that made things so much less depressing.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that. I feel better.
The another thing is the sort of self-efficacy and the self-reliance that one can build in being given a task, told what that task entails, told when you should complete that task by, and then not necessarily spending 50 minutes looking over that kid's shoulder saying, okay, you're doing such a good job, keep on working, that sort of thing. We're
not a fan of reinforcement schedules, are you?
No. I think in the end, the best thing is when you're in the real world, you're the one who's going to be the one controlling your schedule. You're the only one who's going to be able to say, I need to get this done, and this is when I need to get it done by. This is one of the most transferable skills that we can teach. It applies to everything. Maybe your boss is holding you to a deadline. Maybe your teacher in college is holding you to a deadline, but that person isn't going to be standing over 99% of the time.
Sure.
That person is not going to be standing over your shoulder making sure that 30%, 40%, 50% of your time you're working on the task that you've been assigned. They're waiting for your results.
Right.
And that sort of mindset is vital. It's absolutely that I do that all the time in person. I did that a lot in remote learning, and I think we were forced to do that in remote learning, but they were also forced to operate that way. And those kids are going to have a leg up, at the very least in that respect, in being able to manage their own time. So, at least the ones who actually showed up and did shit. If you're asking about content and like what content stuff they're going to take away, fuck all.
Sure. Well, what's the big thing that at the end of the day, are they going to remember our content? Probably not, but more so the skills, like you're saying right now. That's very much a vocational skill. But the what do you think about this decision then? So taking all that into effect, our district decided to move up the start of next school year to no longer start after Labor Day, but instead before, which that's fine. Like I'm sick of going into late June for the school year. But why this? Like they were saying it's because, well, summer lag and, retention, they lose everything and stuff like that. Not much to lose at this point. But what do you think? Is that a good decision? Is it a bad decision? Is it really a lost year, given what you're saying about vocational skills and stuff?
I don't know. I don't think any year is a lost year. I think that that's a bullshit ideology. I think that you take something away from every experience that you have, and if you don't, then you haven't been living. The only things that don't, like, grow and experience are things that don't think. And, it's not our students that don't think, it's our teachers.
Adults, I knew you were going to say. You're not wrong.
So, there's no such thing as a lost year. I think that...
Just rhetoric to politically charge X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, I think it's also ignorant to think that just because you don't see the value in something, that people can't take value from something. I think that and I there's no reason why anybody should care what I think, but I think ultimately,
You're on a
you know,
podcast. You gotta.
yeah, yeah. Ultimately, I think that if you want to learn from something, if you want to experience something, if you want to take something away from something, you can do that. You can generally
Sure.
do that. Like, if you're looking for value in something, you can find value in that thing.
Right.
If you're looking to denigrate the value in something, you're always going to be able to find a way to shit on it. It's easy to shit on stuff. It's harder to find value, but it's not like it's impossible. You can. But when you're being told over and over again by the higher ups that there's going to be a lost year, that there's no value in what we're doing, that there's no value in what you've accomplished, then you don't have the what would you call that? You don't have the will. You're
Right.
not being given the motivation to look for value in that thing. And that is how you lose a year. By telling people that they've lost a year.
Right.
By telling people that there's no way
They're just
that you're going to
feeding
find
in-
value in the crap that you've just done.
Yeah, they're just feeding into the learned helplessness they already have.
Yeah.
For the most part.
They're saying that you are weak, you are dumb, you don't get anything from this year, and that's justified because it's not your fault.
Right.
And that's not true. I'm not saying it's not their fault. It's
Right.
it's not their fault, but there is value.
Right.
Value
Well,
exists.
It's also a little insulting to us that have been busting our ass all year, acting like, well, no matter what you did.
Well, I've been busting
It
my
would-
ass. I'm not so sure about you.
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, but they've been saying that. A lot of people are like, hey, man, like, fuck off with that kind of shit. But that is for sure true. Like, how many kids did you have? Did you have a lot of seniors this year? Like senior 12th
No.
graders?
No.
Any kid? Well, kids
had
that
some.
were very last minute trying to like somehow pull together, taking like a 40% and turning it into a D or higher. I had a kid that was, by the way, didn't do anything all year. So they had a 42% for doing nothing. They were like, how do I get a C? And like grades were due in an hour. I was like, hey, bud, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say last minute. I'd say post last minute. I had a
Oh,
couple
yeah.
of
How many of those?
I 2.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. I didn't fail that many people though.
Well, we were talking about this too when we were doing the hiring process, because a lot of the candidates, they get very wrapped up in what they're going to do historically.
Mm.
That's why I don't like history PDs, because everybody, whenever they tell any story, they have to give you the context of why they're studying this and where they're going to go. We don't need it. Can you just get down to, because like the skills are all that really matter at the end of the day. And they always get bogged down in that kind of shit.
Like personal motivation?
It could be. So it could be like, let's pretend it's like the Renaissance era. They'll be like, I'm just going to make up some shit. Nobody like quote me on this. I'm like, that doesn't make sense because I'm making it up on the fly. Be like, so 2 weeks ago, we looked at the Renaissance era and how it stemmed from the feminist movement and blah, 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 blah. And what we're going to do is look at the connections, right? Between postmodern America and prehistoric. Like they do stuff like that to be like, look at all the connections I can make and look how flashy I can get. And this is unorthodox, isn't it? And I always go, great. So what are they going to do in the class? Because history teachers always get so wrapped up in their content because they're so proud that they can pull sources and interesting stuff that you haven't heard from. And admittedly, in grad school, I was probably more, or the least interested in the history part and more focused on the teaching part. But every history teacher ever is constantly so focused on what they're going to teach and why and how it connects, to the point where I go, all right, for this question, I don't want you to mention content. Let's just talk about strategy. And they still somehow throw in content.
I think that's the... Science isn't quite like that. I'm trying to think of a parallel because I'm getting...
There is none.
I can
There's none to this bullshit.
I get the same vibe oftentimes. Like,
Oh, sure.
You'll get a deep dive into some very rabbit hole-y stuff.
That's a good way of putting it. A deep dive when it's truly not necessary to even mention what the content is. Like, that's basically what it is.
It's like introducing yourself to somebody and then they're like, hi, my name is Greg. I have craps. It's like, I did not need that particular piece of your interesting personal history, as fascinating as that probably is to somebody else. Not necessary in this context. Just serve me my McDonald's.
Right.
Please.
That's the next lab. So it's how fast can this ice cube melt? How fast can this grass grow? And then how long will it take for Johnny Doe to lose his craps. That'll get approved.
Hopefully before he eats my entire ass.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
My wet coffee shit.
Kyra and Kenny, you are now aware of this podcast, so if you're still listening...
Kyra, get out of my classroom.
What a look behind the curtain. You know, they were when we were done, they were like, this was interesting. Like, having a conversation with you in this context is a lot different. Like, I used the phrase, I'm no longer your teacher. So, like, ask me anything. And the way that Kenny's eyes lit up, oh my God, you would have thought I gave him $1 million.
Oh, I love those kids. Those are great kids.
Oh, yeah. You didn't go to graduation. You were gone that day. You had stuff that was going on.
Yeah, but my wife was sick.
But that was, well, first off, I was very shocked, as were probably the kids themselves, that some kids were walking. But whatever, we'll give it to them. But there were some very nice moments and things like that. I let him know, too. You texted me, like, let him know I wish I could have been there.
Okay.
Of the kids that came up to me, about half of the seniors came up to me. I let them know.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, it was nice. It was a nice little cap to it all. It was better than last year because there was no fight across the street.
How is that better?
No fight across... Well, you're right in that regard.
From a spectator standpoint.
Yeah.
Why go to NASCAR if nobody's going to crash?
From a gambler standpoint too, right? Who's going to win? But yeah, no, it was interesting. They still insist on using, the graduation song, the no, 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 no. There's a hip hop version that they insist on using. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like parents rapping on YouTube.
It's very similar to trying to act young and
hey, fellow kids.
Well, and I wouldn't have so much if you're going to put it on loop for the entire 2 hours, as a live band would do if it were in a real graduation ceremony, maybe alternate between the hip hop and the regular, just to mix it up. Let's just try it.
Or just fucking don't.
Or don't, yeah. I would
agree. How
agree.
about just fucking don't? I didn't have a band playing at my graduation. I don't.
Really?
Yeah, no. There was no need.
Huh.
You just go up and get your shit, and then you leave.
Well, no, because they have to make you sit there for 2.5 hours while you listen to other names while you're also going through the worst hangover of your life. And your whole family's watching, trying to look at the blip eventually walk across the stage and shake the hands with the bearded man that you've never met, but apparently they're the head of your department in college, and then take pictures and get food.
You see, the mistake that you made is that you got drunk before graduation and not at graduation.
Why couldn't I do all three? Before, during, after?
That's a good point.
I did have a buddy so when we graduated with our masters, the master's gowns have that extra, fabric real estate or whatever.
I just want everybody who's listening to this right now to understand the pantomime that Ryan was just doing. It looks like he was trying to milk a cow with the other. So I'm not exactly sure.
One hand down. But you know what I mean? Like the extra real estate. So a buddy of mine, Jack the Carney, for those that have listened to past episodes, but he busts out a book mid-ceremony and he reads just during the ceremony, just like complete thug life. But I wish I had put a flask in there or something. That would have upped the game entirely.
One of the coolest people that I know brought whiskey to the ceremony and 3 glasses, and the 3 of us.
How did they fit the 3 glasses?
Well, they weren't glass; they were paper cups.
Oh, still.
And she had a purse.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. There it is.
But yeah, that for the Masters, we took shots before we walked. That was nice.
Like right before? That's amazing.
Yeah.
That I did not do. But before and after, that for sure was done. All right, are we doing the exit ticket?
Is it time for that?
Let's do that. Let me hit pause. Let's get set up and let's do it.
Okay, can do.
Swoop. All right, so for this exit, so last time, was it a shot we did for the exit ticket last time or whatever it was?
Remember, I was really drunk.
Yeah, that was like a Friday and the school year was over at that point, I think. Or maybe it was a weekend, I don't even know.
That was the remote one, right?
Oh, that one for sure. Yeah. That one I had 2 bottles of wine that were going to go bad a week later. So Katie was like, "Hey, finish those." But for this one, what do we got here?
Well, I figure, we've gone through a lot, and I'm absolutely done with this year. So
just now,
yes. It's still kind of dawning on me, like the end of this year is approaching finally. So I figured we could celebrate appropriately with some champagne for the end of the year.
Thank
And also appropriately, because it's the end of a shitty year, it cost me about $14.
Nice.
So,
Yes. I would never be able to tell the difference. So
yeah, that's okay. Pretend, just pretend.
Pretend
call
it's $7.
Yeah. Pretend that, hybrid learning is just as good as remote learning. Pretend that being in person somehow has value outside
if I never hear in person or hybrid or remote again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you just have a stroke?
Yeah. All year. Picture a stroke all year. Everything it smelled like it was burning all year, but also it was really burning all year.
It really was.
All right, let's do if you're at home, teacher podcast drinking, and you got champagne and you want to real quick pause it and crack a bottle, we're going to cheers to this fucked up year.
За здоровье.
Oh, wow, you did that. You just chugged the whole... Carbonation doesn't get to you?
I mean, it got to me like that.
Are you a soda? Yeah. Are you a soda person?
No. Well, I drink a lot of carbonated water.
Okay.
I have one of those soda stream dealies.
Gotcha. That was impressive. I can't even chug like a Coke if you gave it to me.
Try.
No.
Do it.
I'm going to enjoy my life.
Do it.
I'm going to enjoy my life. I don't give in to peer pressure on a podcast. But dude, shit, what a year. Yeah, I would say that we kept this one pretty loosey-goosey.
You know what? It's the end of the year. It's the last of the COVID era school dealies. Maybe. So
Emphasis on that.
Let's hope that it's the end of us having to deal with COVID and in-person learning and hybrid and all of the things that you said.
Don't say hybrid ever again.
Yeah. So
how do we start next year then? Honestly, when we move past it, I had to go back at one point and look at notes and be like, what did we talk about before all of this? It was just normal shit, like day-to-day stuff. But well, it's my second stroke of this episode.
Yes.
And I'm all the better for it after this year.
Well, no, I don't think that normal is going to be normal. I think everyone is going to feel like they're in their third grade, choir practice on stage in front of all of their parents, not knowing what to do with their hands, just standing there awkwardly. That's what everyone's going to feel like. It's going to feel like everyone's first year of teaching again.
Well, so do we go back to normal, quote unquote normal, or do you think anyone's going to learn anything from this and adapt anything in any way to at least take away the positives from this remote time?
Well, the positive that I would like to take away is never going to work again. That'd be great.
Yeah, right. I would love to be paid to do nothing.
That would be fantastic.
To organize books and read, as Kai would say.
Yes.
That's all librarians do, apparently. You might need the degree to truly figure out what...
Don't make fun of her. She has a dream.
She has a dream. That's more than the rest of us can say. My dreams are dead. How about yours?
Any of the technology stuff that we've learned, we should really keep that in mind. You know what? Here, if you want the one thing that we should take away, it's that there are certain things that can be done remotely. And if they aren't done remotely, the only reason that you're not doing them remotely is to have people
compliant
in the room with you, to have an audience.
Are you thinking PD?
Thinking PD?
Yep.
I'm thinking department meetings?
Yeah.
Grade level meetings? I'm thinking, a lot of stuff, and not just in the teaching profession.
Well, you're also saying things that could be emails, too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean...
It could be asynchronous and digital.
That's one thing that I did. For our safety commission, coordinating that is kind of a beast, because you've got the principal, you've got the engineer, and you've got 4 different teachers, one of which
Sure.
on our safety committee actually had a class during the time that those meetings were scheduled. So every 2 weeks, like every week we would have a synchronous meeting, and every next week we would have an asynchronous one where it would just be an email thread.
Okay.
And that worked fine. It was just fine.
Did we get any safer because of your? I don't even know what you guys did. Just discuss the safety concerns.
Yeah, well, we
There's so many.
discussed. We came in. We are safe. Everything is safe. No, what we did was we discussed grievances from teachers, and we made sure that admin was addressing them, and that the engineer was looped in on what needed to happen.
Do you have an example?
Say again?
Do you have an example?
Sure. Things not getting cleaned up.
Okay.
People
Common?
walking through the hallways without masks.
Mm.
So, like, when there was a particular instance where a member of our teaching staff
I already
noticed
know
that a member of our administrative staff was not wearing his mask.
he still doesn't.
I know, but it's not safe for that teacher to walk up to that administrator
Right.
and say, "Put your mask on, you dick." It is, however, appropriate for our principal to walk up to that person and say, "Put your mask on,
you
you dick." So, while it's impossible to make everyone do the right thing all the time, we were able to ameliorate some situations that, at least, you know,
good.
we're talking about these things like, does the content actually matter, or is it like a broader
the overall
theme?
takeaway.
Yeah,
or
the overall
feeling and
takeaway.
emotion. Sure.
Well,
and
it feels like I'm in an English class. Like, what's the broader theme?
Right. But just reiterate what the person before you said, and then you should be in good shape for your discussion section. That's what happened all the time in college. Well, and I guess the last real thing here is kind of, I didn't anticipate to have such a good segue, but the whole broader theme. There was this bullshit that CPS said where it's like, healing together, $525 million for our schools. And they claim they're going to go to the schools that are most heavily impacted. But we all know they're going to go to like the North Side schools and the affluent schools and not to the schools that really need it. And they also cut, what'd you say, how many employees in CPS were fired?
Let me absolutely make sure. So if
For
you wouldn't mind possibly
No, we don't. We're not
cutting
going
out
to pause.
the bit.
We're going to keep it.
Okay.
The whole thing. A lot of people though were fired, and there's an interim CEO
443 people were laid off
in one
during the
day.
pandemic, with all of this money being thrown back into CPS from the federal government.
Right.
It is getting spent on curriculum and development, not on staff. So,
We lost like 2 teaching positions for next year too,
yeah,
and we
Yeah, we
lost a
did.
few miscellaneous positions as well.
yeah, we did. So, talk to your mayor.
Yeah.
Talk to your mayor. Talk to whoever's going to be the chief executive of CPS. Whatever that.
Whoever wants to run for mayor next, that's who it'll be. That's all it's gonna be.
Pete. It's like, yeah. Let's just. Can we end this
end in
episode
size?
for like 30 minutes of ASMR, heavy breathing into the microphone?
We could do a hard one. We could do it where this has been Classroom Brew, and we go.
I don't know. Seems hacky.
Let's see. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Fuck off.
I went for it. This has been Classroom Brew.